Well, folks, good day to you, one and all, right around the world, where everybody has an opportunity to watch what has evolved into a very enjoyable form of motorsport and has evolved very, very much for all since COVID hit the world as such, and everybody had an opportunity to be at home and do different things that you normally got around to. So what can I say? It's just evolved so much to where it is now. Welcome, Next Gen Racing GT3 season number 5, round number 1 from Fuji, which is an amazing circuit if you really think about it. We'll have a look just now at the history of the Fuji International Raceway as such. My name's Gary Gazer Fleming. I will be joining you for the duration of tonight's racing and for the balance of 6 rounds of Next Gen Racing GT3 season number 5, which I think is actually going to be a brilliant season. I had an opportunity to watch a lot of the practice sessions and very competitive stuff that you're going to be seeing out there. Probably around about 30 cars, as we said last night in our little promo video that we did, that's going to be out there today, covering the bronze, silver and gold class. The guys have done pre-qualifying and also based on the history of the previous seasons as well as to what class they're going to be quantified in and where they will actually be taking part. So Fuji International Raceway, it's a clockwise circuit, opened up in 1966. That's a long time ago. A lot of the guys that are racing now were pretty much in their early days at that stage of the fight in 1966. And well, it has actually evolved quite a lot, because the first time that there was a Formula One race there was in 1976 when we had the first Formula One race, and in fact it only held for 2 years, because the second year of having Formula One at this specific circuit, there was a terrible accident, and that was in 1977. Gilles Villeneuve and Ronnie Peterson were involved in a major pile-up, a high-speed pile-up, and 2 people unfortunately passed away in the crowd. And at that point they decided to then remodel it. So the FIA World Endurance Series has this has become one of their very much favored spots to actually go and race at, and this was taken over in fact by Toyota, that owns the circuit since the year 2000. So it's just a bit of history as to how this whole Fuji circuit started out. The lead van out there right now, hailing from South Africa, Stefan Wessels, the fastest man, a 1 minute 34.970, 4 minutes into the qualifying session, a 20-minute qualifying session, everybody out on track. What's the basic rules that they've determined for this? There is no blue flag as such, but if you are on a warm-up lap or a speed-up lap, if you want to refer to that, you need to yield the racing line to anybody that is on a flyer. The clerk of the course will determine any penalties if need be at any given point if you hinder anybody else out there. So that is Stefan Wessels, 1 minute 34.970. Just a half a second off that. Kieran Smart, Mr. Kieran Smart, and he is in yet another Porsche. Definitely the Porsche is the car of choice. Benjamin McCluskey, well, I tell you what, he has been doing very well in the practice sessions and now in the qualifier, putting himself provisionally up onto the front row of the grid. Jens Hursens is also up there as well, provisionally on the front row of the grid, within second. In fact, in the pre-practice, the 1 hour practice, we had a situation where the top 20 entries were all within 2 seconds of one another, and well, that's pretty interesting stuff. Oh, Jamie Dory in one of very few Fords out there. He pops up onto the second row of the grid. And let's have a look at the cars that are actually going to be available to everybody to ride with as we ride on board with Nick Cubbins that finds himself provisionally on the fourth row of the grid. The Ford GT3, the McLaren GT3, the Audi R8, the LMS version, the BMW M4 GT3, the Ferrari 296 being the favored version of Ferrari. There's only one out there to the best of my knowledge, and that is the South African Alwyn Sykes that is out there in a Ferrari. I see Jordan Viviet, Daniel Fitz, and then Mark Sykes is also out there in the Ferrari as well. The Lamborghini Hurricane, you'll always find that out there. The GT3 Evo, the AMG Mercedes-Benz, the 2020 version. Not too sure why they decided on the 2020 version, but so be it. And then the car of choice, the Porsche 992R GT3 trim, and that is the cars that are available. The cars that the guys choose, they have to run them for the duration of the 6 rounds. The 6 rounds being tonight at Fuji, Road America, Spa, the Grand Prix layout, Monza, the Grand Prix layout, Catalunya, the historic circuit, and then the Daytona road course. So, as we find ourselves 7 minutes into the 20-minute quali, that is the fastest man out there, Stefan Wessels, not that far behind him. Ooh, he's close right up, it's just 14 hundredths of a second. Mr. McCuskey, Benjamin McCuskey, he's right in there. Kieran is doing everything he can to hold onto that second row, but it is very, very marginal because he gets it completely sideways, pushing it just a little bit too hard on that one. Martin Hobson finds himself provisionally on the front row of the grid with a lone BMW, and there's not a lot of BMWs. You see Nigel Stock and Gergo Bellari that is also there in a BMWs. 26 guys that have put up times already. Martin is obviously the quickest of the BMW guys at this stage of the fight. Sean Skitter, he's just 0.7 off, but 28 thousandths of a second from this man that's still in the pits. Well, he's gone back into the pits. That's James Goossens. Lawrence Vlieger, he's still on the fourth row of the grid division. He's 17ths off the fastest time with Jamie Dory. That has now been bumped just a little bit down, still within 1 second of the fastest time out there. Andy Jones rounds out the provisional fifth row of the grid with yet another Porsche. So one BMW, one Ford, everything else being Porsches. Nick Cubbins, those are the first guys to go and put up a quick lap. Nick finds himself now bumped out of the top 10. Wesley Lewin with yet another Porsche. 1.3 seconds off. He needs to find the better part of at least 2/10 if he's going to get himself up onto the next row of the grid. Jesse Wilkins is in the pits. He's just doing a quick breather, and then he'll be back out there. Jake Pitt in 14th position in the number 15 car, yet another Porsche. Oh, Paul Scott comes to the party. Paul Scott, row number 6 of the grid provisionally, and that is the leading Audi. The Audis that are used, the Audi R8 LMS, beautiful motor cars, often used in endurance racing throughout the world, a very popular car to be used in endurance racing. This being the GT3 version of that. A little bit further, we see Jesse Wilkins down in 15th position. Alwyn Sykes, a lovely debut there for the start of the season, starting off in a provisional 17th position, and he in fact is the fastest Ferrari out there, that Ferrari 296. Beautiful looking motor car, lovely livery on that as well. Michael Seal in 18th provisionally. Daniel Fritz, the next man that's coming through there in the second Ferrari, the second fastest of the Ferraris out there. Matthew Cheverton, he's also in there as well, and he finds himself rounding out at this point the top 20. of the Ferraris out there, Jordan Bivoit, and he is 1.7 seconds off. But look at this small gap that there is. If he picks up 3/10 of a second, he'll move himself all the way up to probably 13th position. Nigel Stock in a BMW, that is the 5th of the BMWs out there, and he is provisionally in 23rd position with Alan McCain in there behind him. And all of these guys are within 2 seconds of the fastest times out there. Stefan Wessels, he feels he's done enough. Well, in fact, he's on his way back out of the pits again, Stefan Wessels. It's a little bit marginal. He's only got 2/10 on Andy Jones. Andy Jones, that's bumped Benjamin McCluskey off the front row of the grid and joins up there with Kieran Smart, with Tom Weston and Martin Hobson provisionally on the third row of the grid. We're 11 minutes 47 into the 20 minutes of the qualifying session. For those of you that have joined us, hello, good evening, great to be with you. Next Gen Racing GT3 Season 5, round number 1, Fuji, and we're not using the chicane. Why? I think these cars are just so powerful that you actually need to use first gear if you use the chicane, and in first gear, well, believe you me, these cars, for all the Porsches, they tend to swap ends on you very, very quickly when you get the hammer down just a little bit too hard. So I think the organisers decided, let's rather leave the chicane out of it. Let's try and make it nice and even and smooth for everybody. In total, 29 entries that have joined us for this evening's racing. 28 of them have already put up times. Only Gazza Williams, that is a very highly rated driver. He's gold class. He's actually got a very high I rating as well, 4.99. In fact, I think he's got the highest I rating. If I just have a quick shofty through the list here, he's got the highest I rating of everybody, Gazza Williams, and his first name's actually Gareth, and we look forward to seeing what is he maybe not going to qualify and start off the back of the pack. It'll be pretty interesting seeing how that one's going to play itself out. So that top 10, Stuart 1S, he's still out there doing yet another lap. Let's just have a look, see whereabouts he is on circuit. There you can see just about everybody is out on circuit at the moment. We have got 6.5 minutes to go. Lawrence Vliega in there just behind him, a Class B iRacer. And look at the difference between the 300s, well, 32 thousandths of a second between them. That's the difference. So Porsche is definitely, the Porsche is definitely the car of choice. There's no doubt about it. The Porsche 992R GT3 is the car of choice, which the guys have determined that, given the fact that we're going to Fuji, Road America, Spa, Monza, Catalonia and Daytona. Oopsie, Lawrence Vliegler just getting it a little bit sideways, and he brings it all back together again as Tom Weston does yet another lap out there. Still 6/10 out. The guys come filing out of the pit road and just trying everything possible. In the previous practice session that we had, which was 1 hour, there was the top 20 was within 2 seconds. Well, the boys have come to play. Can you believe it? The top 24 within 2 seconds of one another. Our sprint race will be 20 minutes, and then we will have the feature race thereafter. 29 entries, and Gareth Williams still not out on circuit. He has logged in, but he has not done any laps at all, so I'm not too sure where we're going to find him starting out on the grid. Jake Pitt, he's still working his way around there in that 15th position. He needs a 10th, and he's on the outlap at the moment, but he will have enough time to get another 2 in. He needs a 10th if he wants to get himself up onto the 7th row of the grid as such. The fastest of the Audis out there, and well, not a lot of Audis out there, that is for sure. That is Jesse Wilkins, and Wilkins is working his way around. You can see on the track map, you can see that number 12, that's 12th position. There he goes out onto the front main through Panasonic corner and out into the front main. The pits lane and being on the right hand side. He'll pick it up now. There we go. There's the entrance to the pits as Jesse Wilkins starts yet another lap. A lot of the guys have decided we've done enough. I think we've got this the way that we wanted. Paul Scott just outside of the top 15. He's a silver class racer just ahead of Wesley Lewin. Wesley Lewin, a known name to us in South Africa because he takes part in some of our South African MSA, Motorsport South Africa, MSA series, which is the national governing body of motorsport in South Africa, MSA. So let's see how this one's going to play itself out. 16 and 3/4 minutes of the 20 minutes is gone, and there are all 28 cars that have been out on circuit and put up a time except for Gareth Williams. He's the only man that has not been out there, the man with a safety rating of 4.99. Now, for those of you that are not that knowledgeable on iRacing, believe you me, there's very few, if anybody, that gets to a rating like that. It's a massively high rating. So he is a very safe, very consistent driver, and it'll be a pity if he doesn't actually get to put some laps in at all before we get to the grid proper. 17.5 minutes, just 2.5 minutes still to go. The fastest man is now in the pits. He says, it's all good, I think I've done enough. He's got Andy James provisionally that's going to be alongside him. Benjamin trying to do something to somehow just find that extra, 500ths of a second to get himself up onto the front row of the grid and knock Andy down to the second row. But he's also got to be a little bit weary because Kieran is still out on circuit as well, and Kieran is going to be joining at this point on the second row of the grid. Only 14th in it for Kieran, for him to get himself up onto the front row of the grid. He is on a flyer at the moment now. Let's see if he can do enough. We've just got 1.5 minutes to go for Kieran. Yeah, he comes through now. Kieran Smart, no, it's all yellow sectors. I don't believe that's going to change at all. I think he's already done his fastest lap, and it's still going to be that, slightly quicker, 0.901 for Kieran Smart. So he squeezed everything he can out of that one. Where is Kieran right now? Well, no, Kieran, I don't think he's going to be able to make another lap at this stage of the fight. You can see he's the last of the cars on that diagram. The numbers that you see on that diagram on the racetrack, that is where they are placed on the grid provisionally at this point. So we just got 45 seconds to go. The 12th car is going to be coming across the line. Jesse Wilkins. Does he manage to bump it up just a little bit? Nope, he's going to stay exactly at the same position. And then it looks like Martin Hobson's on one last flyer. The leading BMW, 9/10 of a second off with just 40 seconds to go. Can he move up just a little bit further? He's on the third row of the grid on the outside right now. 0.953 off the fastest lap time. Porsche, all the front row of the grid. Nope, Martin's not going to be able to go any quicker either, so that was his last opportunity there. That ain't going to happen. What we don't understand is how come Gazza Williams has not gone out on circuit at all. It's very strange that he's going to be probably, as a gold class racer, going to be coming off the back end of the pack. I just hope he doesn't have connectivity problems at all as we then complete our 20-minute qualifying session. Anything you were going to do, well, you had to do it by now because it's all over. Bar the shouting. The 20 minutes is up. That's where it's going to be. Just wait for the grids to come up. There's a couple The people are going to be still working their way around the circuit. A couple of odd opportunities here and there still to move slightly further up. Benjamin having one last gasp effort to try and get to the front of the grid. It's a very, very difficult corner that he's going through now. That's the next corner, turn 14, 15, the final corner through there. That's turn 16. 16 turns clockwise direction. Fuji, Japan, that is where we are. Can Mikuski get up onto the front row of the grid as he comes up towards the line? He only needs 500ths of a second. Nope, it's not going to be. That is where it's going to end as the last of the guys come through. And that will be where it's all going to end. So that is how the grid is going to look. Let's let the grid come up for us. And we can have a look, see exactly how it's going to play itself out. Our first race will be 20 minutes. As we just wait for the computer to kick off from the qualifying session. Bring us into our race. The grid will come up for us shortly. And then we can see how this one's going to play itself out. Oh, it's going to be great stuff. Great stuff. Next Gen Racing, Gt3 Season 5, round number 1. That is where we are at. And there we go. This is it. This is the grid that we're going to be looking at. There we go. Stefan Wessels from Andy Jones, McCliskey from Dory, Smart from Western, Hobson, Skitter, Seal, Goossens, Wyness and Vlieger. That is your front rows of the grid as we move our way a little bit further down from Vlieger. 13th position, that's going to be 7th row of the grid, Jesse Wilkins and Nick Clibbins. Then it's going to be Jake Pitt and Alwyn Sykes on row number 8. Row number 9, Paul Scott and Wesley Lewin. Alan McCain and Cheverton round out row number 10. Daniel Fritz and Biboit is going to be row number 12. Nigel Stock and Belay is going to be row number 12. Smugger's Gale, I'm going to get that one right for you. And Mark Seitz on the 13th row of the grid. The 14th row is Favo and Will Maz. And then Gaza is going to be on the back end of the grid. Can you believe it? Well, let's hope that he's made it out there all good and fancy. And, well, this is going to be all systems go. The beginning of the season is going to be a standing start. We're just going to get everybody there. I see Jamie Dory, Martin Hobson. They're not on the grid yet, on the grid proper. Where's our blimp sitting today? Well, it's sitting at the wrong spot, so we can't get a nice blimp shot for you. There is your field. Look at that. Porsche. The one lone Ford that finds itself in the front 2 rows of the grid. That is about as good as it's going to get for the Ford boys. Only one possibility of making everybody happy. Is everybody up on the grid? Yep, yeah, except for Gaza. Williams has not popped up onto the grid yet. You'll see on the bottom of your screen on the left hand side that it stays a light grey, and unfortunately I think he's going to miss the start. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and it is going to be all systems go. Let's hope that everybody makes it nice and smoothly down towards Dalichi, which is the first corner. That whole group of cars diving down towards number 1 is Stefan Vessels. That's going to initially lead them out with this one. Stefan Vessels, and he's got Jones that's trying to have a look up, but Jones will be on the outside line. Dory, Smart, Skitter, Western, Seal, Winers is held in there as well as that whole pack comes flying through. Oh, and off he goes, and that I think is going to be a major blow, unfortunately, for Andy Jones. He has lost it all by himself, just got a little bit too loud on the accelerator, and that cost him big time as he just went flying off the circuit. And well, I don't believe you're going to be able to, in such a close pack, and make up very easily positions. There's our leader, Stefan Vessels. It's McCliskey, it's Dory, it's Smart, it's Skitter, it's Western. Michael Seal, the next man that's in there behind them. It's hard on the brakes, turns it in, using all the curbstone and a bit more. Look at that one, Seal from Wineless, from Goosens, from Hobson, Clibbins, they're all in there. It's liner stern stuff, there is nothing much in it whatsoever. Let's have a look at the gaps between these guys, or let's have a look at the intervals, should I say. Look at that, it's Goosens that goes past Wineless, and he makes up yet another position. James Goosens into that 7th position. Liner stern, off they go down the front main, and that completes lap number 1. A lot of people that are very, very close to one another. Martin Hobson trying to have a look up on that inside line. Can he hold it under brake? Oh, 3 abreast, a little bit of a rub. The BMW sandwiched in the middle of that one. Nothing much in it. Western just ahead by 71 thousandths of a second. Look how the field is busy spreading itself out just a little. A bit of a gap behind Jamie Dory. As you can see, the front 3 have broken away a little bit. If you look back from Jamie Dory, well, he's got Kieran that's right there with you already. It's actually behind Kieran that there's quite a gap. Kieran Smart, and that's the gap that he's managed to get between himself, who is in 4th position, and then Skitter that is there behind that. Stefan Wessels still leads them out. Doing a beautiful job is Stefan Wessels. He was the fastest qualifying, but Kiski's right in there. Dory's under a lot of pressure. He's got Kieran Smart right in there behind him. Then that little bit of a gap we had to Sean Skitter. Clissons, that's moved up numerous positions already. That's the purple Porsche that you see ahead of that. Well, what shall we call it? A gaggle of motor cars. Look at that. It's Car Wars. It's Western, Hobson, Wineless, Gibbons, Seal, and Pitt. All of them right in there. Vlieger has just moved up a position as well. Vlieger and Pitt finds himself alongside one another. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers? It's that number 3 already in this 20-minute race. Goes towards that inside line. Yep, I don't think he's going to be beaten out on that one. Once again, we almost end up going 3 abreast as we go into that one. Let's just have a look at what happens with this specific incident. It was James that was involved with that spin. That was the Audi R8 that he got himself a little bit out of line, but it all ended up quite fine, as he was out of the racing line, away from everybody else, and that didn't really affect anybody else at all. Tom Weston has also had an incident. Let's see what happened to Tom Weston. Just a little bit too hard on the gas, and well, he held it pretty well, and he comes straight across all the cars, now sitting on the inside of the circuit. So at least that didn't affect anybody else, but that dropped him quite a long way down. Jamie Dory in a fight at this stage of the fight with Kieran Smart for that 3rd and 4th position. A very, very tight battle, and it looks like Cubans is also busy having a look to see if he can make a plan at this stage of the fight before that pack spreads out too much. It's just 10th of a second off Jake Pitt, but now remember, Pitt is losing a bit of ground. Look at that battle a little bit further back. Here they come. 2 abreast, 3 abreast. Matthew Cheverton, Daniel Fritz, Alwyn Sykes, they're all in there. Andy Jones as well. Alwyn Sykes, is he going to be the last of the late breakers as they work their way down towards the braking marker? That is the best of the Ferraris out there. Alwyn Sykes and Daniel Fritz, and it looks like it's going to be Andy Jones that's going to be the quickest coming out of the corner. So having had that incident, he has now started to make up a couple of positions, and well, Gabriel had a bit of an incident earlier on. Let's just see what happened with Gabriel Gilmas. Squeeze it up on the inside, makes a light contact and just flies off onto the outside of the circuit. Interesting stuff. Let's go back to the front end of the field. All our A-class boys are doing it all right at this stage of the fight. It's Stefan Wessels, and he's in fact made himself a bit of a gap at this stage of the fight has Stefan Wessels. It's looking very, very solid for Stefan. A little bit further back is Mr. McCluskey, Benjamin McCluskey in that second position. There comes Kieran Smart, Jamie Dory right there with him. Skitter has come to join that game. That has now become a five-way battle for that leading group of cars. Then a bit of a gap back to James Persons. That's made up some good positions. Martin Hobson in there behind him. Stuart Reynes, Michael Seal, Jake Pitt rounds out the top 10. Lineston trying to get as much of a slipstream as possible, but with that 1.8 second gap, what's happening is that Nick is actually closing up on him. Obviously under braking, that'll be even closer. Ooh, he runs a little bit wide, and Clemens comes up on that inside line. They get themselves side by side, one by Audi, one by BMW, and they make sure they do not make any contact with one another. At the same time, it is Stewart that's getting himself into one hell of a battle. He's in 8th position right now, but look at that, sitting tightly in the pack. Let's go on board and see what it looks like on board. That's how close he is to the back of that Porsche. The Porsche 992R Gt3 rubs the back bumper. Now he's going to be in the correct position to go through under braking, and you can see in the TV camera screen from the shot going backwards, you can see the car that's behind him. That's James Persons, and he's actually made a little bit of a gap between himself and Jens at this point, which is quite fine for him. A little bit further down the field, there are a couple of pretty close battles. Nick Gibbons probably being the man that's going to be the biggest problem for Jesse Wilkins. Jesse Wilkins, a silver class racer, he finds himself in 12th position as they work their way down the front main. The field's starting to get just a little bit spread out now. There you can see the leader going into turn number 1. Everybody except for car number 27, which is Alan McCain, is all pretty much in the straight or first corner, or going towards Coca-Cola corner. Let's go and join up with that Skitter Dory battle. That is a lovely battle that's been going on for this first 6 laps of the race. In fact, if we're going to be there, why don't we just have a look at what it looks like up close and personal. So close under braking. Went in there very hard and very deep as they came through the hairpin, through turn 7, through turn 8, a light right-hander, but it's flat foot all the way through there. And now you're going to come through to Dunlop corner. Now you can see on the right-hand side, that's where the chicane is, which we are not using. Up to turn 13, a very sharp right-hander. Now this is a very difficult part of the circuit that they're going through now. Just listen to the accelerator. You've got to feed it and ease it through. It's a blind rise, blind curve on the outside, but more importantly, you've got to line this up perfectly, because that brings you out into the front main, and from there it's a long haul. It's I think it's just over a mile in total that they run down that straight, so that's a long way to go, and you've got to get it all right as they work their way out into the front main. There's nothing much between them at this stage of the fight. Andy Jones is starting to put the pressure on Matthew Cheverton. Look at that, he's right up in there behind Cheverton. Let's go on board and see exactly what that looks like. Is he going to dive out on the last? He's all over the back of that sole lone Audi, and the Audi Sport 390 stays ahead as they exit Ritchie down through turn 2, going down towards Coca-Cola corner. Going to use that curbstone, everything on the outside, everything they can on the inside. From here it's flat foot all the way. You don't lift off or whatsoever, you just feather it very lightly in the middle of that corner, just to line it up all the way towards the outside onto the curbstone. Out breaks the Audi, but the Audi's good off the line of Matthew Cheverton, and makes just a little bit of a break. We've got to go back to that previous battle that we were looking at, and that is Sean Skitter and Jamie Dory. Still nothing much between the two of them. Jamie Dory and Sean Skitter, they are in 4th and 5th. We're already 11 minutes into the 20 minutes of this race. Jenny's Goossens also doing a lovely job. But let's just have a look at the gains and the losses that they have been for these guys. Stefan Wessels, that started in 3-1 pole position, is still there. McCliskey, that was bumped down onto the second row of the grid, he has moved one up into that second position, so he'll be pretty happy with that one. As Andy Jones, while we go through that, let's just have a look, see. Andy Jones is looking pretty good at this stage of the fight. I think that he's definitely got the pressure on Cheverton, and he's going to get through sooner or later. So Jamie Dory, that started on the second row of the grid, he is still there. Sean Schutter has moved his way 3 positions up, and 1 up for Martin Hobson. Well, Schutter has just made up that position right now. It was 2 positions up, it's 3 up. And well, who's the biggest loser? Andy Jones, unfortunately, finds himself 13 positions down. Not good at all, and he won't be happy with that because of that initial incident that he had. I think it was him right at the beginning that went off the circuit. Let me see if I can maybe get that one for you. Why is Andy Jones so far down? This is why. For those of you that missed the beginning of today's race, it was all looking perfect. Too much curbstone, went flying off, stuck the nose into the barrier, and that is why he finds himself 13 positions down. So he is working his way back up slowly but surely, but still a long, long way to go. Tom Weston, 14 positions down from where he was initially, and that is disastrous for him for this round number 1 of the rounds that we're going to have. 6 rounds in total. Why is Tom Weston so far down? This is what happened to Tom Weston. This was quite a long time back. He got it completely sideways, came across the oncoming cars, got whacked on the nose, and luckily stopped close to the inside of the circuit, managed to get it completely out of the way, and didn't affect anybody else at that stage of the fight. So that just gives you a bit of an idea as to where we're at. Let's have a look at the best times that have been put up so far. And there you can see Stefan Wessels. Let's go on board with Stefan Wessels. Let's see what it's like to drive on board with this amazing car driver combination. Stefan Wessels, as he leads them out, he's on his way through next corner. Look at that blind rise, cannot see the exit, cannot see the curve, so right towards the outside. Hold it nice and tight, turn it in nice and early, get onto the gas as quick as what you can, out into the front lane, second gear, and now you start getting the hammer down, and it just gets quicker and quicker and quicker. Let's look at it, 240 kilometers an hour. Past the start finish line, 250 kilometers an hour, 6th gear, just about getting to 260 kilometers an hour, all the way down to 2nd gear, turn it in nice and tight, use that curve stone, but not too much. Remember, you don't want to get bonus points, well, not bonus points, you don't want to get penalty points against you whatsoever, as he works his way through Coca-Cola corner. Just look at that, look at the revs, just easy through, get it as nice and tight on the exit. Now you get it all the way towards the outside of the curbstone, into the hairpin you go. Very late apex on that one to be able to get the best possible pace through turn 7, through turn 8, you're with the leader, Stefan Wessels, through turn 9, it's known as the 300R, down into the dip, Dunlop corner, a bit of a rise, bang over the curbstone he goes, bypasses the chicane, which we're not using now, once again towards that very difficult part of the circuit. The guy's got to play with the accelerator, go down 1 gear, make sure you don't pick up too much wheel strain in that 2nd gear, runs it heavy into the revs, turns in pretty early, a lot earlier than most of the guys, and away he goes. So either way, that was a lap with the lead man Stefan Wessels, and look at the gap that he's got from Mr. McCliskey, Benjamin McCliskey in 2nd, then it's Kieran Smart in 3rd, then that battle royal of Jamie Dory with Skitter, Martin Hobson in there behind that, Stuart Wyness, James Persons up into that 8th position, Michael Seal, Jake Pitt rounds out the top 10, but it's chaos behind him. Look at that, it's Jesse Wilkins and Nick Clevens. Let's go on board with Clevens and let's see if he's going to be able to make that dive on Jesse Wilkins, the lone sole Audi that's out there, the R8 LMS, as they go down towards the Litchi corner. Oh, can't get much closer than that. And the two of them, well, Jesse's putting a lot of pressure on Jake because he's getting a lot of pressure from behind. And Clevens now within a 10th of a second. He's got to be very careful not to touch the back of Wilkins. You can see that he is very, very good on the brakes. He's obviously got that brakes dialed in exactly the way that he wants it. Closes up on the Audi, but you see the Audi out of the corners is very impressive. I'm surprised that there are only 5 Audis out there. I would have thought that there would have been a little bit more than that, but everybody's got their choice of car. Bang over the curves there. Oh, Wilkins hammering the suspension of that motor car, but he's got to do it all right. If he makes the slightest mistake, he's going to lose out, because that is a 3-way battle of note as we drive on board with Nick Clevens behind that R8 in the last corner, 11th, 12th position. Out into the main they go. You can see on the right hand side 180, 190, 200, 4th gear up to 5th gear, 220, keep the hammer down, the beginning of the pit lane, 230, 240, just keeps on climbing, getting close to redlining it in 5th gear, eventually drops it into 6th gear, right on the last, having a bit of a look. There was Wyness having a look on that inside line. Is that going to make him vulnerable coming out of the corner? No, he covers that line perfectly. No problem with that whatsoever. So a lovely piece of driving there by him. But a little bit further forward, Martin Hobson has got a whole train of cars in there behind him. Behind Hobson is Dory, Goosen, Seal and Pitt. And they pretty equidistant from one another. Nothing much has changed. Nobody can really do much more than pressurize the man directly in front of them. As Martin Hobson all over the back of Stuart. Now Stuart rounds out the top 5 at this stage of the fight. There's only 1.5 minutes to go of this 20-minute race. So he's just got to absorb just a little bit more pressure. Somehow he's got to hold on to it and make sure that nothing's going to change before they get to the line. Hobson in that 6th position, starting to break away from the lonely sole Ford of Jamie Dory, but still within 3/10 of a second. You can see that Jamie Dory is in there behind him. There's Jamie Dory. He's under pressure from James Person and then Michael Seal. Michael Seal, remember, he had that incident right near the beginning. Dropped a long, long way down, and he has made up numerous positions. If I've got my facts correct. No, Michael Seal is back to where he started. He's in that same original position. So though he went down, he managed to work his way back up to that position once again. 19 minutes and 50 seconds. Where is our leader, Stefan Wessels? Let's pick him up. There is Stefan Wessels. And he'll be coming through for probably the last time that I think he'll probably tick the clock. Yep, the clock ticks over, and Stefan Wessels should be coming along to take the checkered flag in a not too distant future. That's the very last corner that he's going through turn 15, next corner through turn 16, Panasonic. Out of Panasonic he goes, and it's going to be Stefan Wessels that, to my mind, is going to take the checkered flag as they come across the line. There he goes, and wow, he just flashes the lights. He's super duper chuffed with that one. Next man going to be coming through is going to be Benjamin McCluskey. Behind McCluskey will be Kieran Smart. Then we go a little bit, oh, look at this, as fast as you can look at them. That is the way that they're going to be coming down the strip. A lovely piece of driving there by Skitter, Wyness, Hobson, Dory, Jens Koersen from Michael Seal, Jake Pitt, Klebens coming through there as well. And he's on the top 12 still at this stage of the fight. Wesley Lewin just a little bit further back. I don't think he'll be too happy with that one. He's a bronze class entry, but still I think he would have expected to be just a little bit higher up in this 20-minute race. Still to come up towards the line. There's two more. That is Bibiot and Favo. Mark Sykes comes across the line as well. Gomez finds himself a long way further back, and he'll be coming through the last corner. One of the 5 Ferraris that's been out there, and then it will be Alan McCain will be the only person still there after he comes out of the last corner. That's Panasonic corner, and that's a lone Mercedes-Benz. Will that choice of car, okay, maybe it's counted against him in this one, but will that choice of car maybe count in his favor in time to come when we end up going to Road America, Spa, Monza, Catalunya and Daytona? Quite possible that things is going to change with the choice of cars that they have decided on. And let's have a look at the overall results of that one. So there we go. That's how it plays itself out. Stefan Wessels from McCluskey, Smart, Skitter, Wines, Hobson, Dory, Goosen, Seal and Pitt. That rounds out the top 5. And well, just about every nation that is involved with iRacing is involved in this one. Wesley Lewin finds himself down in 15th position. I'm pretty sure that he'll be stronger when we get to the main race of the day, the feature race as such, and we'll just wait for the computer to kick across to that. That is your top 18 that you can see there. Let's just go a little bit further down on that one. You can see how it played out a little bit further down the field. There's Alwyn Sykes as well, Bibiot, Fabio, Mark Sykes. In the NXTGEN Racing, Yilmaz, he was just about the last man to come through there from Alan McCain, and then Belay, and then Gazza Williams. Well, 13 laps, we never saw him, unfortunately. So it's a pity that he didn't manage to make it out there, because I would have loved to have seen what a man with such a very high rating can actually do out there and make it all happen. So we're going to take a little break, and then as soon as the computer pops up with our feature race, we'll be back with you in a jiffy. For those of you that have joined us, this is NXTGEN Racing GT3 Season 5, round number 1 from Fuji. We've just finished the first part of tonight's racing, which is our sprint race. And in a couple of secs from now, we'll be going across to the feature race. And we will be bringing that to you live by Second Gear Productions. Myself, Gary Gazer Fleming, and for those of you that don't know me, I'm a regular motorsport commentator in sunny South Africa, do all the national events around South Africa, and during the COVID got involved with the iRacing side of things, which also grew phenomenally in South Africa. One thing led to another, and because of the commentary side of it and what have you, started doing a little bit of broadcasting and production work, And yeah, one thing then to another, to where we are now, and in 2024 going to be start going a little bit more international as well. And a big thanks to Next Gen Racing for allowing me to join you guys for the season. It's going to be 6 rounds, as we said. Fuji tonight, Road America, Spa, Monza, Catalunya, and then Daytona Road. That is going to be the 6 rounds. The cars that are being used is going to be the same car that you start with. That's what you got to stick with. The Ford GT3, only one of them that's been chosen. McLaren GT3, not a single one out there. Audi R8, very few of them. In fact, I think there's only one out there, and that's the LMS version. The BMW M4 GT3, that's a lovely car to drive, but surprisingly not that many of them out there on the circuit. The Ferrari 296, the Lambo Hurricane, the Evo version of the Lambo Hurricane, also a car that's very popular in endurance racing as such. The AMG Merc, that's the GT3 2020 version, and the Porsche, which is the car of choice, there's no doubt about that. That is the 992R GT3. So, yep, we just give it a couple of secs until we can get into the main event. So, folks that have just joined us, it'll be a couple of secs. We've just been told by Mark Sykes the feature race session will be up shortly. So, they're just busy loading that for us. And then we'll come back to you with the feature race of GT3 Season 5, round number 1 from Fuji in Japan. If you'd like to see more of the productions done by Second Gear Productions, myself, Gary Gazer Fleming, you can go and have a look on YouTube under Second Gear Productions, and then you can see some of the South African racing which has been going down. MSA, Motorsport South Africa, which is the national governing body which has recognized the iRacing as such, and they're actually handing out national colors in 2024. So a lot of South Africans that are getting involved with the iRacing side of things, and that's why you've got numerous South Africans that is in this Next Gen Racing series as well. So for the folks sitting at home, don't go away. We're just waiting for the computer to bring up our feature race from Fuji Speedway, brought to you by Second Gear Productions on behalf of myself, Gary Gazer Fleming, and coming to you from the southern half of Africa.